Hello. Right, we've got a little workout for the ass and the abs. Um, Ideally, if you can, have a band. If you don't have one, you can do it with just your body weight, so it's fine. I've gone for a medium band. We are kind of going into the ass, so if you want to be braver than me, go for a little bit heavier band. We're not going to do too much warm up, but instead the first round is basically going to be just easing into the range, and it's more important the rounds after that. So get on your feet. We're just going to warm up the wrist because there is a bit of time on the wrist. If you want to be just bending and putting it back, fine. Anything you want that means you're going to be ready for weight bearing on your wrists. Just warming up and moving up. Maybe break the shoulders a little bit. Right, cool. And then just twist through the body. Twist and twist. Yeah, cool. Just twisting a little bit of mobility and warm up through the back. I've got a new sofa, you can see it in the corner. Armchair, even. It's yellow. Right, so first round is under lower body, so it's more for the ass. So we're going to start by squatting and just squat nice and easy. Don't go into full depth range yet because your body isn't particularly warm at all. So just make sure the feet are just a little bit wider than the hips. The toes should be just slightly turned out, not so turned out that your heels are together like this, just ever so slightly turned down, and the knees should be tracking forward over towards the middle of the trainer. Your hips are pushing backwards, and your posture should be good, so your spine is long. So if you're going too low, you'll find the back will round. Also want to be mindful that you're not hinging or arching your back too much. So just ease into the squats, and as we go through, hopefully, you can start to work a little bit deeper into your full range. So we're going to squat, and then just lift the legs to the side. Then squat, and do the other leg to the side. Squat, side, squat, and side. When you squat, the goal is to squat evenly down, despite the fact that you've just been balancing on one leg. And when you lift the leg to the side, you really kind of flex every muscle. So flex the ankle, the knee. It's kind of like all locked out rather than floppy out to the side like this. So really go straight legs as possible. And then just check that your toes aren't pointing upwards towards the sky like this. You'll see the difference. It starts working to the front of the hip. Whereas if you're pointing, almost leading with the heel, you'll feel it in the side of your butt. So you're going to squat and lift the right leg to the side. Squat, right leg to the side. So right leg every time. Don't race the reps. Again, we're kind of not warm and we're just doing a lot of squats. So take your time. If your squat range isn't that low, that's fine. I more care about the squeeze at the side of the booty as you stand up. So try and make it so you are squeezing the leg up and not kicking the leg dramatically to the side. So it's a squeeze. And with all the squats you're doing as well, your heart rate should be starting to rise. Yeah, nice. Obviously, got to do the other leg. So nothing changes apart from the leg that's lifting. Really straight legged. And if anything else, they're leading through the heel rather than pointing the toe up to the ceiling. It's the thing I probably see the most. And if you struggle with it, think of anything, just taking the leg marginally backwards rather than directly to the side. So rather than coming to the side, come just slightly backwards, and you should find that it's very hard to then point the toes upwards because you'll be twisting like this. So if anything, just slightly backwards to help it to really target or make sure you're targeting your butt. And I'm just going to stay down, squat, and pulse. So everything here is 45 seconds. So again, if you're not feeling quite warm, you squat pulse a little bit higher. And then if you can, you're just going a little bit lower. We've got 2 more rounds of this with a band. So yeah, don't worry again too much about your range on this first round. So I'm going to go about halfway. I can really feel the burn in my thighs. And then also, because we did all that stuff on the ass, I'm hoping you can feel a little bit in the booty. Check as you're doing it that your posture is still good, because chances are it's starting to slip in some way or another. So check it, ass is down, your spine is long. Oh, yeah, very nice. Yes, perfect. Right, come into all fours and do some pelvic tilts. Let me just tilt my screen down. So just transition down to the floor. Spread your fingers a lot because we've got quite a long time on the wrists, so it helps to distribute some of the weight away from the wrist, but across the whole hand. Hands come underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips, and you're going to kind of find a neutral spine, and then from here, we're going to tuck the tailbone under a little bit more. So we're just doing pelvic tilts, and then back to a neutral spine. Tilt, and then neutral. Tuck in, and then releasing. So this is also when you hear instructors say about bracing your abs, or brace your core, strong core, abs on, anything like that. This is what they mean. It's basically bringing your hip bones closer towards your rib cage. So it's not a cat and cow where you're rounding your entire back and arching your entire back. Instead, you're trying to find that neutral spine and then just pull the hip bones a little bit closer to the ribs. Release and then pull again. You can almost think as well about pulling the floor towards you with your hands and see if you feel the difference in your abdominals. So find that kind of really big strong tuck position. We're going to do pointer alternating arm and leg. So pointer is also known as bird dog. You extend one leg and arm out, replace it down, and then switch to the other side. Now the goal here is trying to keep the spine as neutral as possible. So the hips are still close to the ribs, you're braced. And the goal is to not open the hips out to the side. So that's what's going to want to happen is it's going to try and shift and open to one side, shift and open to the other side. So how we can help that, when you lift off, really push into the opposite arm that you're not going to lift. So push into the opposite arm to keep your hips level. And then your leg, as you extend behind you, keep the foot quite close to the floor to keep your spine from arching. So we're just going to stick now to just the right arm and the left leg every time. Right arm, left leg, and then come down. Right arm, left leg again, and then come down. So you're going to really find, oh, I need to sneeze. It is hay fever season. Is it gonna come? No, it's gone. It's gone. Right, so, what was I saying? I'm in hay fever season. Now, this is where you're going to really find out one side if it's stronger or not than the other. Check, if you ever see yourself front on, you want to check that you've not gone into this kind of wonked position. So you're going to try and keep your hips as level as possible. And then just switch into the other arm. So it's the left arm and the right leg. And then coming in. If you want to give just a little bit extra challenge, when you pull in, don't actually tap your knee or your hand down. So extending out and then pulling in. And if you really, really focus on this and just picture the whole way through, you've got a tray of drinks on your back and you cannot spill a drop, not a single drop. So if your hips, if you're arching, it's going to spill. If you're opening or rocking to the side, it's going to spill. If you're shifting over to one side, it's going to spill. So as level as you can, like a table. Oh, it's perfect. Now I'm just going to hold a plank. So if you want to come off of the wrist, feel free to come down to your forearms. You can do this with your knees in close and bring your hip bones towards your ribs. Or you can scoot your knees back a little bit more if you feel ready in the abs. Or if you feel ready, tuck your toes and lift your knees off. Now, wherever you are, you're looking for your shoulders to be above your elbows or your hands. And your back is still flat like a tabletop. So watch if it's arched. Watch if the hips have sagged, or watch if your hips have piked up. If anything is going to happen out of those, I'd rather the hips have piked up, but you still bring the hips towards your ribs, rather than arching or sagging, because then you might feel pressure on your back. Okay. Right, coming up, you've got 30 seconds only to grab your band if you've got one. We're going to put it around the ankles. So popping it around the ankles. So we're going to do the exact same sequence again. There's zero change, apart from the fact that you've now got additional resistance. So it's going to really kick the ass into gear. And again, I am so not worried about the depth of your squat in this workout and more the squeeze of your butt. Oh, going to tilt. Feel a little crotch shot. Tilt it back up again. Bam, 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 bam. So squatting down and up. Try taking your feet out a little bit wider here. Squatting down up, you'll need to push your knees out a little bit wider, and you should possibly straight away feel more tension in the side of your bum. Maybe it'll take a little bit of time. Depending on how kind of quick your butt muscles switch on will depend how quickly you can feel that. If you want to check your posture in the squat, it's the side view. Side view. Tends to be if you're looking at forwards, your neck will start to arch, and that can cause your back to arch. So side on, you can see the view. Squat down. Lift your right leg. Squat down. Lift your left leg. So many squats, so many squats. Feel the difference when you've got that extra resistance. Now the resistance, you're pushing out against it, and then it's trying to pull you back in like this. So you're going to find your foot's going to want to come in. So first try and resist it on the lowering phase, and then just be mindful where your foot lands. So you're still trying to keep your feet wider than the hips. Bum, bum, ba, ba, bum. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, burns already. And we're just going to now stick to the right leg. So squat, right leg lift, squat, right leg lift. Making it squeezy. You will naturally need to shift your weight over into your left leg. You'll probably need to just lean slightly out. Just be mindful that you're not leaning out all the way. So you're not squatting and then coming into star pose to the side, but it's still relatively upright. Bum, 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 bum. Check in your squat stance, your spine posture, and your tempo. Slow and squeezy. Other leg. Easy squeezy. Lemon peasy. Bam. Oh my God, my left, I've said this, if you've ever done the boost bun, my left bum is so much weaker than the right. Oh, this automatic is so much harder. Bam, 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 bam. Come on, the lefty. And if you notice you've got a weaker side, cool. You might even want to pause the video and spend a little bit extra time in it. So if it takes a little bit of time for it to actually switch on and feel the bum rather than anywhere else, pause it, wait till you got it, push, and then rejoin in, squat and pulse. So wider feet, squatting, and squatting. Pulsing roughly at the bottom of the range. Hopefully you're feeling a lot warmer out. We are having a heat wave here in the UK at the moment. So it's like 32 degrees. So already I've actually started sweating my legs. Yummy. Oh, yummy. Over halfway. We're pulsing. And same with your pulses. You can notice the tempo that I'm doing. It's not like a vibration. But slow, controlled, and squeezy. Yeah, perfect. Right, get rid of the band. So again, we're going to do the exact same sequence again. However, advancing it. And if it advances too much, then you go back to the first sequence. So it's basically the same moves. Then we're just going to slide the knees a little bit further back. I nearly said, remind me to tilt that back up again when I stand up again. You're not here. So, last time we were hands on the shoulders, knees on the hips. This time, so find that tuck, tilt, and then walk your hands a bit further forward. Shift your hips further forward, and now here we are in a modified plank. So you can do the same thing again. Go to pelvic tilt, so you're arching your back a little bit, and then tucking your tailbone under. So almost just releasing the tuck, and then tucking under. It's a really small movement. It's quite a saucy movement if you're doing it in public. Hello. So little pelvic tilts, tucking under. If you find you're struggling to get the tuck under here with your knees further back, again, at any stage, bring your hands on the shoulders, come back to box. So, knees down, opposite arm, opposite leg. Do you hear that? Reach. So reach in, reset down, and you sneeze again. Other arm and leg, and reset down. Excuse me. Oh, bless me. Where was he? So having your knees further away from you makes it harder to brace. Makes it a lot harder to brace. So it's going to be harder to maintain the level hips from rocking and the back from arching. So again, keep the foot quite close to the floor and feel free to scale back if you need to. Just sticking with the right arm and the left leg. Right arm, the left leg, and then back in. Rechecking your spine, your posture, your hips. Pushing so much pressure into your left arm. And then if you want to make it a little more challenging here, have a slightly longer pause when you're outstretched. So have a pause, feel your brace, and squeeze your left butt. So that's the muscle that should be working to push your leg back and away from you. So a little squeeze of the butt before you come back in. Little pause, little squeeze, and then a release. Pause, squeeze. I just sweat dripped onto the carpet. And just switching arms. So other arm and leg, left arm, right leg. Again, if you want to make extra challenge, never tap the hand and knee down to the floor. But keep assessing this movement. Keep assessing. The chances are, again, that you will. Your body is now working against what's natural. So the natural thing is to shift the weight open and arch. So check that you're not now just lifting your leg really high and arching through your back. And the other thing to check is that your shoulders are still underneath your wrists, because chances are you push them back a little bit and they're out in front. So keep loading the weight forwards. What arm are we on? Left arm, right leg. Nice, coming back to that plank hold. You've got the same option. You can be in the hands. If you want to give your wrists a break, come down to the forearms. You go in the knees. You can have your knees in if you need a little bit less, but keep that little tuck. Or you can tuck your toes and lift onto the knees. If you are somewhere between knees and toes, try 5 seconds on the toes and then 5 seconds on the knees. If you start to feel it in your back, pop your knees down, take a little child's pose, maybe do a little quick cat and cow just to really release your abs, and then come back in again as soon as you are ready. 5 seconds to go. Yes, perfect. Right, so we're going to need the band again. This time I'm just going to change the position of the band and have it around the knees instead of the ankles. Thank you for reminding me to move it up. So having it around the knees rather than around the ankles. So it's a little bit higher. We're going to do the exact same motions. You just going to feel it more on the squat and the squat pulses as well. Last round, by the way, just squats. Squats down and up. And by the way, I appreciate that I'm sweating loads. This hopefully is quite a low sweaty workout. It should be one of those ones that you could just do in the middle of your day and then get back on a call or whatever. It really is just because it's like an oven in here. So maybe if you're doing it in the heat wave with me, then you'll be the same. Although this sweat is really a gift from my mother. When we exercise, we sweat. But anyway, really push out the band. Really push your knees out. I can guarantee you can push them out a little bit harder than the band. Try them out. Nice. Squat. Alternating side leg lift. Lift right. Squat. Lift left. Same principles apply. So you are making sure your whole leg is kind of locked up. You're not bending at the knee or at the hip. Leading with the heel. Controlling the lowering phase as well as the lifting phase. And maybe, it's round 3 of 3, maybe you can just squeeze your side butt just a little bit harder and get the leg to go just a millimeter higher. Nice, we'll sort my band out, it's squat And just the right leg lifting every time. Squat, right leg lift. Squat, right leg. Bum, 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 bum. How are we doing? I can't talk to myself here. How am I doing? I'm alright. Oh, I scored a bit wonky on that one though. Nice, just switching over, continue squatting. Another left leg. Squat, left leg, squatting evenly down the middle. Making sure the feet are still coming wide on the hips because your bum should be getting tired. So it's going to want to just let the band pull you in. You got to land it a little bit wider. Are you still controlling the movement despite the fact that, again, your ass should be fatiguing? So I'd rather you take loads of breaks, but then when you do the reps, they're as controlled as possible, or you have no band, rather than you race it. Even if it means you get like 1 or 2 good reps. Next time it's 3, 4, 5, etc. Nice. Squat and pulse. Squat, squat, and pulse, and pulse. Oh, it's definitely gone into the grippy faces. Squat and pulsing. So this time the band is over the knees. So it's really trying to pull your knees in like this. And you're really having to force the band outwards. The muscle that's doing that forcing, again, it's the side bum. So force it out as wide as your flexibility will let you. Keep forcing out and check that your knees aren't being kind of like bam your knees and bam your in. They're constantly pushing out into the band. Oh. Oh. 5 seconds and then no more squats. Here you go, a little bit lower. A little bit lower again. A little bit lower again. Oh, that was cheeky. That was an extra second. Get rid of the band. So again, coming down to the floor and advancing if you can. So you've got 3 levels now. You've kind of got the beginner level that you can start on, the intermediate, which was the modified knees down plank. And now if you can, it's a full plank position. Again, this can be on the hands. If you do find it tiring on the hands, you can actually do it on the forearms. I should have said that on the previous ones. But, better late than never. So you're going to start with the pelvic tilt in plank position. So fine plank, shoulders over wrists, got a neutral spine, and then just tuck under a little bit more. So almost just releasing a little bit through the abs and then tucking under. It's such a small movement, but what you should be feeling is this pull up from the wrists to the hips. If you imagine you kind of have like a magnet on your pelvis and on your sternum, it's just getting that whoosh to close together, and then it will release and then whoosh close together again. Really small movement. If you cannot do this on the toes, what do? You drop your knees, or you bring your knees in. Right, opposite arm and leg. So we're doing opposite arm and leg. So right arm, left leg, come down, and then left arm, right leg. It is significantly harder to do this in full plank position. So I love if you give it a go. And if you're like, absolutely not, pop your knees back down again and choose the option that's right. You might find it easier with your feet a little bit wider, but check that your shoulders are still over the wrists. You've got the exact same things to check. Whatever level you're choosing, check your back's not arching. It's going to be really tough now to not open your hips. So really trying to keep your hips level. You've got the same principles of thinking you've got a tray of drinks on your back, and you're trying to keep it as steady as possible. It is just the right arm now and the left leg every time. Right arm and left leg. You might find coming onto the toes makes you suddenly start slapping the floor. Slapping the floor. So again, just try it if you can. Place everything back down again with as much control as possible. So much control as possible. So you reach, maybe get that pause when you're extended, and then place back down again. Reaching, trying to get that pause, feel the squeeze of your butt, and then coming back down. Having just a little feel of your posture, of your checkpoints, of your shoulders still over your wrists. If they're not, just shift forward again. Maybe take a little break. Join it again. It's just the other side. If you need to take a quick child's pose, take a quick child's pose, and then join in again on the other side. So it's the left arm and the right leg shifting forward, bracing belly. You might find as well on this one, if you're somewhere between knees and toes, then it might be that you just extend lift the leg and just reach the arm forward a little bit, but just rest it down slightly on the floor. So it's a little bit of support, but it's still harder than being on the knees. So that's an option if you're between doing them both. And if you want to check posture, it's side on. We got a plank hold to finish, and to finish the whole workout. So you need that little child's pose again. Take in, hands on forearms, knees on toes. Hold plank. And as you hold the plank, keep the weight forward, keep the tailbone tucked. You're going to breathe in really deep, and as you breathe out, think pull the hip bones closer and closer and closer towards the ribs. Even harder. Breathe in again, and as you breathe out, think of dragging the floor towards you with your forearms or with your hands, and feel the difference again with your abs. And now this time, breathe in, and breathe out, and push down harder into the floor. So it's going to activate your chest, get real pressure into the back, and then you've got less than 10 seconds to hold. Keep holding, you're so close to a little child's pose. Yeah. Pop the knees out wide. Push your hips back, and as you do, just take your right arm across under the left armpit, and then hold here. So just going to release the shoulder, a little stretch of the shoulders, a little release of the back. So there's a little stretch of the inner thighs. Oh, because there was a lot of planking. Solid planking. Just switching to the other side. You can't set your hips all the way back to the heels, that's completely fine. Just have your hips a little bit further forward. The stretch is the nice bit. And notice your heart rate should have elevated. So it's not so high that you're like winded or can barely breathe like you're going cardio, but it should be quite high. So you're now using your slow breath to help bring it closer to resting. Nice. And then release, come into cat and cows. So all fours, and then just round in the back and arching the back. So feel the stretch of your back and a stretch of your belly. And if you want to hold on either one a little bit longer, feel free. Again, the stretch is the bit that just feels nice and kind of it's you doing what makes you feel that your muscles have re-lengthened. Yeah, nice. And then we're going to stretch the ass. So come to 90-90 position, one leg forward, one leg back, lean forward, feel the stretch in the booty. So if you're thinking 90 degree at the knee, 90 degree at the other knee, and move around until you feel the stretch of the bum. So everyone kind of feels it differently. You might want to lie on your back, do figure four stretch. It's one pose. I think it gives you a good stretch. Yeah, switch your legs. Switching the legs around. Moving around until you feel that point where it catches in the butt and then just holding on it. Well done if you managed it. I literally can't go over how much I'm dripping with something that was quite a slow, controlled workout. Although tell me if you are too. Maybe it's justified. If it's my mum, I know she will be too. So another one bites the dust. Well done. Thank you so much for coming and joining me. I love your feedback. If you ever want specifically a certain type of workout, do let me know. That's why I'm here. I want to give you the workouts that you want. So do let me know. But well done, well done, well done. Thank you very much. I've nearly said have a good weekend, but I don't know what day you're doing this. I'm going to have a good weekend.